Welcome to the Life of Being podcast, where we talk about all things life from a healthcare perspective all around the world. I'm your host, Kelly Tan, and in each episode, we'll explore stories, science, and wisdom to help you live well, think deeper, and express life fully. Let's begin. Today, we are joined by an exciting guest. We have Dr. Danny Scahill from the UK. Dr. Danny has been in healing arts for over a quarter of a century now and has been a chiropractor for the last 19 of those years. Dr. Danny is the author of the two best-selling books, Total Health Transformation and also 80/20 Chiropractic. He's the founder of the Chiropractic Mindset Mastery CMM program and the creator of the CMM podcast. Through his CMM program, Dr. Danny helps chiropractors thrive in practice and in their lives too. The tagline for the CMM program is Grow Your Business Without Killing Yourself. Dr. Danny, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Kelly. Really appreciate it.
Right, I would like to start with saying thank you for being a kind person in a seminar back then. So you probably don't remember this, but the first time we met was in a seminar back in London, and Dr. Danny is such a nice and kind person to practice and learn together. And I'm grateful that we kept in touch after too. So thank you.
You're most welcome. I do remember it.
Do
Since
you?
December. Yes, yes.
Exactly. And then you were so
Great
excited
weekend.
because I was previously working in Liverpool. And then I was
Yes,
excited because I was hearing familiar sounds from Liverpool too. So we instantly connected. I'm really grateful to have come in contact to you also.
likewise.
With that said, do you want to share us your story in terms of how your healing arts journey and also how you came into chiropractic?
Yeah, of course. Yes. So if I go back to when I was about 15, at that time in my life, I was doing kickboxing and karate about two, three, four times a week, playing football twice a day, every day. So I was playing a lot of football. And as you know, from living in and around Liverpool, football is almost like
Yes.
a religion, isn't it?
Yes.
And so, yeah, so I was very fit, very active. And in my kickboxing training, we had tournaments and we were fighting against other clubs. And I'm only 5'7" now. I'm not the tallest of guys in the world. When I was 15, I was about 5 foot nothing. I was tiny. And luckily, in the next few years after that, I grew, which is good. And so I was competing against a lot of guys much bigger and stronger than me in the kickboxing. And some of my mates in school were lifting weights and they were starting to get bigger and stronger. And I thought, I want to do that. And I remember my mum and dad saying to me, specifically my dad, he says, you're not fully grown yet. Wait till you're 18. And I was like, Dad, it's my birthday. Can I just get some weights for my birthday? So that's what I did. I didn't know what I was doing. Injured myself, injured a shoulder and lower back at that time. Started to see a physiotherapist for about 18 months. That didn't really do anything. It felt nice in the moment, but didn't really do anything for me. And so then my mum said to me, why don't you go and see this osteopath I've been seeing? So I did, and that really started to help. By which point I was about 17, going on 18. I had always wanted to be a lawyer from about the age of 5, Kelly. Always.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So I had already applied to do law at university by this point. And so I was working on a Friday afternoon for free in a solicitor's office, basically doing filing, making cups of tea and all that kind of stuff. And I was looking at what the lawyers were doing, the solicitors were doing. And I thought, I'm not doing this for the rest of my life. This looks boring. And at that same time, the osteopath or osteopathy had really started to help me. And
Mm.
I thought, this is really interesting. I'm sat in his practice, in the waiting room waiting to go in. And I thought, this guy sees quite a lot of people. He helps a lot of people. This looks like a better journey for me. So I cancelled my application to do law. Then I applied to do osteopathy. I did 4 years osteopathy. So from the 1997, I started the osteopathy when I was 18 and did that till kind of mid 2000. Then both chiropractic and osteopathy professions were getting regulated by their own individual councils. We obviously know of the GCC in our profession as chiropractors, and I was studying part-time and working full-time with
Oh,
osteopathy. So the GOSC, they said it's either full-time college or no college. So my college closed down when I was very close to the finish line.
Oh my
And
God.
so, that was quite traumatic for a few
Yes.
hours or a week or so, and then I got over it. Because I remember after that speaking to my osteopath mentor at the time, and he said, "Why don't you become a chiropractor?" And I'd been in osteopathy college, and the it's interesting because the same sort of thing happened in chiropractic school as well. When in osteopathic college, they said if you get a patient or a client you don't like, send them to the physio or the chiropractor down the road. And then fast forward years later, when I was in chiropractic school, they said the exact same thing in the opposite way. If you get a patient or a client that you don't like, send them to the osteopath or the physio down the road.
Really?
And so, yeah, I did the 4 years of osteopathy. Then I retrained as a chiropractor, did 5 years chiropractic school, so 9 years altogether before I adjusted
Wow.
my first ever paying chiropractic client.
Oh, wow.
And as you mentioned, I've been nearly 20 years in practice now as a chiropractor. This time next year will be 20 years in practice.
Wow.
That's kind of my journey up until I became a chiropractor. And there's obviously
Yes.
loads of other stuff, but we can cover that later, no doubt.
Yeah, yeah. What would be the difference between osteopath and chiropractic? Because this is a question that people always get. And with you studying both ends, what was the experience you have then?
That's a great question. It's also a question I've had countless times over the years
Yes.
as well. So, fundamentally, philosophically, chiropractic and osteopathy are very different.
Mm.
Granted, osteopathy was around a year or two before chiropractic,
Yes.
and the osteopaths always said that D.D. Palmer kind of stole Andrew Taylor. I think it was Andrew Taylor Still,
Andrea Taylor,
the
yeah,
guy who
Andrea
founded
Taylor, yeah.
chiropractic osteopathy.
Yes.
Uh, there was often, I don't know whether it's true or not, but they reckon, or some people in osteopathy reckon, D.D. Palmer studied under Andrew Taylor Still. I don't know whether that's true or not, to be
Mm.
honest. But
Mm.
philosophically, there's a huge difference. Where, as you know, we're all about the nervous system. Nervous system controls everything, and we focus primarily on the spine. But as you know, we can adjust any joints and any move any bones in the body, so to speak. So that's the fundamental philosophical difference. Now, osteopathy, they always talked about being holistic, and they were, to be honest. But again, I don't remember hearing much about this in osteopathy school or osteopathy college, but they always talk about the artery being king, as in improving the blood flow around the body is what does the healing. Now, to us as chiropractors, and anyone who's studied physiology, neurophysiology, neurology to any degree will know that the nervous system controls the blood flow. So that didn't make sense to me once I did chiropractic after osteopathy. I'm like, okay, this is interesting. The other thing as well, which I haven't done a lot in recent years of my practice lifetime, but have done a lot in the past, is obviously as chiropractors, we're trained to take x-rays and read x-rays as well. Osteopathy, nil.
Mm.
I did 4 years of osteopathic training and we didn't even talk about x-rays, never mind look at them.
Okay.
So for me, I would say that chiropractic is really 3 degrees in one. There's chiropractic, there's radiography, and there's radiology as well.
Mm.
So
Mm.
they're fundamental differences. And, in osteopathy, they used to talk about being proactive, but there was never really any kind of, the way we do wellness care or maintenance
Yes.
care or whatever you
Yes.
want to call it.
Yes.
Different people call it different things. I like to call it wellness care. There was never really any of that in osteopathy. It's you give me a call when you feel you need us. And I
Right.
thought that doesn't make sense to me because I want to be proactive with our
Mm.
clients' health and proactive with my health as well. I don't wait till I'm broken to get an adjustment. Do
Exactly.
you?
No,
We
of
get checked
course.
regularly, don't we?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm assuming like the program is very different from what you studied and syllabus wise. I
Yeah, I think
mean,
because I was studying part-time and the
mm,
professions weren't regulated at that time. It was quite a long
mm,
time ago I started that.
yeah.
The law came into effect year 2000, but
Mm,
supposedly both of the acts were passed in 1994, both chiropractic and osteopathy. So it took quite a long time to become enforced.
Right.
or put into play. So there wasn't in osteopathy in hindsight, because I was studying part-time.
Yes.
In hindsight, there wasn't as detailed and thorough a syllabus as there was in chiropractic later on, because
Mm.
I was studying part-time, working full-time for osteopathy, and then I was studying full-time for chiropractic later on. So I would say doing learning, we didn't call it adjustments in osteopathy, but I did a lot of anatomy, physiology,
Mm.
um, neurology, and also actually the do learning the adjustments. And for the first year or so, I also learned therapeutic massage and remedial and sports massage as well. So that was really useful because
Mm.
then fast
Mm.
forward later on into chiropractic school. Particularly the last couple of years when I really needed to knuckle down with the studying, I had people referring to me to pay me to do massage for their clients.
Oh wow, yeah.
It was really cool because
That's good
then
then.
because in the early years I was working in a call center at the weekends in when I was in university. So
Yes.
later on I was able to be referred massage clients rather than going into a call center, which was very cool.
So it sounds like everything is kind of working for you, although it's like you had like a barrier, and then after that you went around and you found chiropractic then.
Yes, indeed.
Mm.
Indeed.
So you've been in this profession for a long time in the UK then.
Yeah.
Were there any changes you've seen since 20 years ago when you first graduated up until 20 years later? Is there any changes you've seen, any patterns you're seeing, and is there anything that we need to not be aware of, but understanding how things is working so that we can push the profession forward?
It's a great question. So, what changes have I seen? Okay, just for context, right now, for anyone practicing as a chiropractor in the UK, the GCC are way better now than they were 20 years ago.
Mm, mm.
It was a different landscape then. Don't get me wrong, it's not perfect now, but they are actually a lot more chilled out now than they used to be.
Okay.
Believe it or not, because they are still quite an
Stern.
interesting concept, aren't they? An interesting organization, if you like,
Mm,
that we pay to regulate us.
mm, mm,
Um, and so, yeah, they're
mm.
more chilled out now than they were, believe it or not. Like, because at that time, at the beginning of my career, I didn't practice in the UK. I moved over to Dublin for the first 3 years,
Oh, did
first three
you?
to 4 years. Yeah, because at that time I was like, I don't want to be anywhere near the GCC.
Oh.
It was not an environment I wanted to practice in. So I
Mm,
went over to Ireland because one of my best mates lives in Dublin, and I lived with him for a short while, and then I got my own place. But Dublin was really cool. That
mm,
was really cool. And that was a lot more because there was no GCC or equivalent over there. Even to this day, there still isn't in Ireland, in Republic of Ireland anyway.
mm, mm.
And so other changes I've seen in the UK, the UCA has grown from strength to strength. Like this event that we were both at very recently in
Yes.
Birmingham, CE, Chiropractic Essentials,
Yes.
that's just grown and grown and grown. And it was one of the biggest events they've ever had to date. Not sure if
Yes.
it was the biggest, but it was certainly one of them.
Yes.
And so the support and the guidance from the UCA has just got better and better over the years.
Mm,
That's one thing that's really, really, really cool. And they support chiropractors in whatever different discipline of chiropractic they're in. It's
mm.
about unity rather than separation. The
Yes.
UCA, hence the word united, I would
Yes.
say. And so that's really cool. I think other changes in the last 20 years. Chiropractic has become more accepted by the general public, I would
Mm.
say. Do you know, it's not quite like it is in Australia or New Zealand or America where everyone's got their own chiropractor. I was chatting to
Yes.
a good mate of mine, Tim Jack. Shout out to Tim when you
Mm.
listen to this. He's practiced in Australia, New Zealand, and now UK.
Wow.
And we were chatting about like Australia is a really big country size-wise compared to UK, isn't it?
Yes.
It's
Yes.
multiple
Yes.
times bigger.
Yes.
Yet they've got about maybe 20% of the chiropractors that we have.
Mm.
It's insane. Yet everyone over there will know what chiropractic is, and most people will have their own chiropractor. We don't yet have that in this country. We don't have cultural authority in this country at all. The GP and medical doctors in white jackets still absolutely have cultural authority in the UK. I would say chiropractors have a bit more sway in Australia and New Zealand compared to what we experience here. but it is getting better. It is improving in that regard, I think. Hopefully that answers your question.
That definitely answers the question. What would be the one step, one action step that we can do to push the profession forward so that more people can know about chiropractic and actually get checked and adjusted if needed for vertebral subluxation?
It's a great question. I would say doing talks in the public health arena,
Mm,
whether that be going out to do lectures or talks in football clubs, sports clubs, golf clubs, whatever. Schools is even a good place if you can get in there, particularly initially to talk to the teachers. Then once the teachers are on board, then they can then maybe have you coming in to do talks for the
mm,
kids at
mm-hmm.
a young age. Because when people are exposed to what chiropractic is, I mean, I wish I was exposed to chiropractic when I was born or when I was very young. I wasn't. My first ever
Mm,
chiropractic adjustment was when did I start chiropractic school? Started in 2001. So I remember it vividly actually, because do you remember prior to studying, you had to go and see a chiropractor and get
yeah.
a letter, a signed letter to say you've been to observe.
Yeah, yeah.
I remember during the actual, on the day,
Yes.
September the 11th, 2001.
Wow.
I was in. I think he's well retired now, this guy. I don't even know if he's still alive, to be honest. If anyone knows if Dr. Michael Vangen's still alive, I'd love to know. Because I was at Dr. Vangen's chiropractic practice in Liverpool, and there was TVs in the office. Don't know to this day why he had the news on in his office, because that's a bad thing to do in a health space, in any space. But I could see the planes flying into the building on the news whilst in his practice, and I thought, what has he got the news on in here, and what is that? What is that happening? I didn't really know a lot about the World Trade Center at that time in my life, if I'm
Mm,
honest. But
mm.
I remember that's when I was there doing that observation day to get that letter to then
Wow.
send on to who was the principal of WEOC at the time, Dr. Susan, oh, what's her surname? Sue King, Dr. Sue King. She was the
Oh, okay,
principal at the
yes.
time before Byfield took
Oh,
over.
wow, okay. Oh,
Yeah, and
wow.
so yeah, that's isn't it funny? Like things that are highly emotionally charged stick in your memory and your brain for they're engraved in your brain forever.
Mm.
Whether that's good or bad, that's what happens.
And
Yeah.
also, like, how is your story? Like, you practice in Dublin. Is it as an associate in Dublin?
Yeah, so I was an associate in Dublin,
Yeah.
initially in one practice,
Mm.
and then I was going to take on a second associate role there. Fun. Is it okay if I tell you a little bit of a story as to what happened
Go
there?
for it. Go for it.
Thank you. So I had an associate role, which was really cool. I really enjoyed it. And Dublin's a really small place in terms of, I mean, any part of Europe and the world really for chiropractic. It's a very small niche. Most of us know each other.
Mm.
And Dublin City, there was quite a few chiropractors in close proximity. And so I was an associate in one role with my boss at that time was an Aussie guy called Darren or Daz, and we all knew loads of other chiropractors. So we go out every week, do screenings on a Thursday in shopping centres and stuff like that. So we'd all know each other really well. And I mean, it was Darren's practice, so it was me going out doing the screenings as opposed to him. He might pop by to say hello every now and then, but it was me doing them every single Thursday. So that was great education for me. I was doing screenings right from the get-go.
Mm.
And so there was another opportunity that came up, and a guy said, we're looking for another chiropractor in our practice. And we all knew each other. So Kevin said, oh, we're looking for a second chiropractor. Would you be interested? And I said, yeah, that sounds interesting. I'll give that some thought and I'll let you know.
Mm.
So I chatted to Daz and I said, I've been offered an opportunity by Kevin. Bearing in mind at this point in his career, Daz worked in his own practice, but he was also an associate elsewhere, right?
Mm.
Which is how we really all knew each other, got to know each other really well. And I said, Daz had been offered an opportunity by Kevin to do an associate role at his place. He says, you can't do that. I was like, why not? You do. And he says, no, that's different. I was like, how's that different? He says, it's nothing personal, Danny, it's just business. And I said, interesting. Okay. He said, choose one or the other. You can't have both. I said, okay, bye. I'm out.
Ooh.
So I left there then, and that next weekend there was a big because I knew there'd be an opportunity to generate lots of new clients very quickly.
Mm.
There was a big. Have you ever heard of? I think they do them kind of UK and Ireland. Mind, Body, and Spirit Festival. It's a
Yeah.
really big festival where lots of chiropractors would do screenings and
Oh,
loads
wow.
of loads of health practitioners and lots of like kind of tarot card readers and all these kind of things. Lots of interesting alternative practitioners, etc. I knew we had that coming up at this big exhibition centre in Dublin.
Mm.
That's why I was able to say bye. I'm out
Mm.
when he tried to force me to not take another role.
Yes.
Um, so that coming weekend, I did a screening at this big Mind, Body, and Spirit festival, booked in 40 new clients in 2 days, and then
Wow.
I was off to the races at this new practice, and it was all good from then on. And a few months later, or maybe 6 months later, I remember getting a call from the guy who had initially said to me, "You can't work in both
Yeah.
practices." And
Yeah.
he's like, "How's it going?" Blah blah blah. And I was like, "Yeah, it's going really well." I said, "Das, it's not impersonal, mate. It's just business." And that was the end of that story. Mic drop exactly. Yeah,
Exactly.
spot on.
Wow.
So yeah, that was an interesting thing to go through in the
Yeah.
practice because do you know what? He had a point when he
Mm.
said, "Don't, I wouldn't recommend splitting your energy between two practices." And that's the only time I considered working in two practices at the same time.
Mm.
I've never actually worked in two practices at the same time, and I 100% agree. It's a bad idea splitting your energy between two practices
Mm.
for the reasons he said. He just went about it in the wrong way. If
Yeah.
it was me, I would have said to him, "I don't recommend that, but I'm not going to stop
Yeah.
you doing it."
Mm. Not what you
But
see, it's how you say, isn't it?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have any people that you look up to or like any mentoring when you're just graduated, or is just you doing your own thing?
Loads and loads of mentors in the past and to this day, and loads of coaches, because one of my previous coaches and mentors, he always said, there's two people who said this. There was Ryan Reeder,
Mm.
and I'm pretty certain he got this from his coach, who was also one of my coaches, Blair Singer, amazing guy. If you've not read Team Code of Honor by Blair Singer, to anyone listening to your show and watching your show, highly recommend it. Amazing guy. Learned a lot from both of them. From Ryan loads. He was a coach and mentor of mine for years. Kind of let's see, I think it was about 2016 to the maybe 22, 23,
Mm.
something like that.
Mm.
So quite a
Mm.
long time.
Mm.
Early mentors for me though, and inspirations. The first, like way before chiropractic, I remember my mum bought me a great book. Again, if you've not read this book, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway by Susan
Oh,
Jeffers.
yes. Yeah, you
Amazing
recommended
book.
that book to me actually, and I read it.
Oh, very good. What did you
Yeah.
think of it? Because I still love that to this day.
Yeah, that's a really good book. I mean, like it's the book itself is talking about the title, but there's different stories in it to actually like, hone it into your thinking and taking action instead of just like reading and not taking action.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds like you would recommend the book to your listeners as well, yeah.
100%, 100%.
Yeah, awesome. So that was one of my early inspirations. I think Susan Jeffers was probably dead before I got to an adult, to be honest. She's well past now, but she was an inspiration and still is. One of my earliest mentors in chiropractic, he was a former president of the UCA, Dr. Frank McBride. He was a mentor of mine all the way through chiropractic school and for several years beyond chiropractic school as well. He introduced me to Dr. James Chestnut as well
Mm.
because Frank was one of the people that brought over James Chestnut to teach us back in the day the Eat Well, Move Well, Think Well workshops, which were a huge help to me, huge inspiration. Learning that stuff from James was a huge driver and inspiration for me in writing my first book, Total Health Transformation. James was a big inspiration for me, and that there's so many other mentors like this. Oh, Bruce Lipton, I remember interviewing years and years ago. Very, very cool guy. I'm trying to get him back on the CMM podcast, but since I interviewed him, I think maybe 2011, 2013, perhaps. for a different info product I used to have back in the day. And trying to get him on the show now is so much more difficult, but I haven't given up because he's so much busier than he ever has been, and
Mm,
it's he's got a lot more gatekeepers around him to try and make sure
take
he
care,
the
yeah.
time he invests in things like that is
Mm.
something that is relevant to him. So watch this space.
Which, yeah, it's gonna grow. I mean, like with your podcast, you're like inviting all these big people in the profession, and it's really, really good that you have that platform to share to listeners. So definitely recommend that. How did you
Thank
come upon to
you.
that though, with writing your own book and also starting the CMM program and then doing a podcast? Like, what's the timeline for Dr. Danny? Because you've been associate, and then when did you felt it was the right time to go back and open your practice and then doing all these things? Like, how is it with your timeline?
Great question. And there's quite a lot to it, so I'll try and condense it. When I moved back from Dublin, would have been in the year 2010, or actually back end just Christmas 2009. And then I was like, I'll have a month or two off, and then I'll get an associate role somewhere, and then we'll go from there. And so I was an associate for 5 years, so up to 2015. Then I set up my own practice. Just for context, at that time in my life, I wasn't really thinking about setting up a practice, or certainly in the year preceding starting the practice, I hadn't. And you've met my other half, Claire, haven't you, a
Yes,
few
yes,
times?
yes.
And I remember one time she was like saying to me, you're not really loved and appreciated in your associate role anymore, from my personal point of view." And from what she observed, you're taken for granted. And she was right. When I was an associate, I was tech support, I was marketing support, I was out networking every Thursday morning at BNI. I was doing all sorts for the
Mm,
business,
mm,
not getting a huge amount back. And so at that point, I was like, because even back in those days, I was doing different forms of coaching, not necessarily coaching chiropractors, but coaching other business owners
mm,
at that time. So starting a practice for me at that time, I was like, no, 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 focus on being an associate, and I'm coaching other professionals.
mm.
And then I thought, you know what? Maybe it is about time I start my own practice. So I started that 2015, ran that for nearly 10 years, just shy of 10 years.
Mm.
And last year in September, we sold that. Ended up being selling the database rather than selling the business itself, because we didn't own the property. So it
Oh,
was the database we sold to another chiropractor in the area.
mm,
Uh, and so basically he took over our client base. He
mm.
all part of the deal was he took over our associate, Dr. Morgan Hayward. You've met Morgan, I think, haven't
Yeah,
you?
Menlo, yeah.
And took one of our superstar CAs as well, Sophia.
Oh,
She was
wow.
literally just at CA, was nominated for CA of the year
Oh, wow.
this year.
Amazing.
So it was great for her to get on stage there. That was a proud moment for all of us at
Oh,
CCC, Crawley Chiropractic Centre.
yes.
Yeah, so we sold that just over a year ago so we could move up north to be closer to aging parents.
Mm,
Uh,
mm.
because all the parents are in their 80s or very close to. So we decided it was time to be closer, because being in Surrey or Sussex, getting up to Liverpool and Yorkshire, it's a day's travel.
Yeah,
So we decided we need to be closer. And
nice.
and so we moved to West Yorkshire.
Mm,
And now, let's see, in 2021, I initially started the podcast. It was under a different name. It was called Total Health Transformation at that
mm.
time, based on my THT for short,
Yes,
Total Health Transformation podcast and book.
yes.
That's how the podcast initially came a thing.
Mm,
Uh, that's when I actually, I thought, I said before I interviewed Bruce Lipton on an info product, and I did, but I also interviewed him on the THT podcast in and around during COVID times. That's when that podcast started.
mm.
And then I paused that about 45 or 50 episodes in. I forget exactly why, but I paused it in about 22, I think, something like that,
Mm,
maybe
mm,
23,
mm.
and revisited it towards the end of last year. And I thought, you know what?
Yeah.
Chiropractic Mindset Mastery is what it's going to be rebranded into. And that's what happened.
Mm,
And then Chiropractic Mindset Mastery program evolved from that as well. That is coaching specifically chiropractors on how to thrive in business. As you mentioned before, the
mm,
tagline of that business is grow your business without killing yourself.
mm,
And what that means, Kelly, is having a great life, doing well in business, but don't burn yourself out.
mm.
because that's happened to me many times in my life, and I don't want that to happen to myself or anyone else again because
Mm-hmm.
it's avoidable. It's absolutely avoidable. But you've gotta have a focus on some sort of balance between your business and your life. I'm not saying anything can be perfectly balanced because that's just not feasible or possible.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but you can be well out of balance or the opposite, you know what I mean? So,
Yes.
or even somewhere in between.
Yes.
So, coaching chiropractors and the CMM podcast is something I really, really love doing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, Helping other chiropractors via interviewing other chiropractors, much like what you're doing right now, is giving back to the profession. You know, there's so many people I've met now who I didn't had not previously met. Like I think there was at least three people at CE where they came up to me and shook my hand and said, thanks for loving your podcast.
Wow.
Thanks for doing what you're doing." And I
Amazing.
said, "Oh, thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. And you're most welcome." Because it is a great thing to be doing what you're doing and what myself and other podcasters are doing
Yes.
because everyone's got their own story, and some people will resonate with my story, some people will resonate with other people's stories. No, so it's great to have other people sharing their story because everyone's got some value to add, in my
Mm-hmm.
opinion.
That's exactly why this platform was created for people like you to share your story, because you can definitely learn from everyone, and to create this platform for people like you. And thank you for your time to share your story and sharing your experience. And in between, people will learn in terms of how to live a better life, better chiropractic, a career and business, and etc. etc. So definitely learning a lot from you from the other side, because I didn't know your story back then. So like, thank you so much for sharing your story yourself.
You're welcome.
Before we're gonna wrap things up there, is there anything that you would like people to ask more of? And is there anything you'd like to share with the listeners before we leave your links into the description?
Yeah, sure. So in terms of anything I'd like to share more of that people could perhaps benefit from,
Mm-hmm.
those people that do not currently do any form of meditation, I would recommend finding a meditation style that works for you. The meditation that I do primarily, I do a few different types, but the one I do every day, twice a day, every day, which I did this morning before this call actually, is TM or Transcendental Meditation. That is a mantra-based meditation, and that's an amazing thing for me and millions of other people around the world. I don't know how many people are doing TM now. There's
Mm,
millions, millions though.
mm,
And the more I do it, and the more I like, because I go to a meditation retreat twice a year, every year for TM. What I'm also doing, or will be doing in the near future, will be of interest to many of your listeners and viewers, I would say, Kelly,
mm.
is running meditation retreats of my own because
Amazing.
twice a year is great, but I want to do it more frequently than that.
Mm.
So in the future, near future, I'll be putting on meditation retreats twice a year
That's amazing.
myself. Yeah, because meditation retreats are so, when I first did a meditation retreat, it's basically 2 or 3 days of basically you're doing meditation, eating, sleeping, yoga, and walks on the beach. That is pretty much all you're doing for the whole time. And it's amazing. And I was taught at that time, because I've been meditating for just over 15 years now and nearly 16 years actually. And I was told one meditation retreat is the equivalent to 3 months meditation in one go in a
Wow.
weekend.
Wow,
So
wow,
that is a
wow.
lot. And so, which is why I want to do more of it and expose more people to it, because so many people have said to me over the years, like, because I ask on the podcast many times to people on the CMM podcast, do you meditate? And if so, what do you do?
Mm.
And quite a lot of people, like big names in chiropractic and other professions, oh, I tried meditation, it didn't work for me. I'm like, no, no,
Oh.
there's a type that will suit you. One of the biggest challenges that a roadblock people put in their own way for meditation. Often I've heard people say, I don't know, it didn't work for me. I'm like, how so? Explain. Tell me what your challenges were. I
Mm.
couldn't stop thinking thoughts. I'm like, well,
Mm.
therein lies the problem, mate. You're a human being, you're alive, thoughts will never stop.
Yeah.
That's what the brain does.
Yeah.
It thinks. constantly thinking. Granted, there's little split seconds of bliss where there's nothingness
Mm.
in meditation, but the reality is thoughts come into your mind. Like, for example, meditating this morning, I was just briefly thinking, oh, what are we going to have for dinner tonight? What have I got to do this afternoon, etc. And then I'm like, okay, let's get back to the mantra. You can even, if you want to, just say to your mind or to yourself, thank you for sharing. Let's get
Mm.
back to the mantra. And then you
Mm.
get back into your meditation. Because thoughts come up, just acknowledge them, accept them, and then let them go and get back to your mantra.
Yeah,
So that's what I do with my meditation. And that was one additional thing I wanted to share with your listeners there.
that's amazing. Thank you so much, then. We're
Well,
almost to the cutoff time there. We're gonna share your links into the description then
yeah,
with us
cool.
then. All right. Thank you so much for your time, Dr. Danny. We're barely scratching the surface, but I'm sure that we're gonna have you potentially in the future for a second episode.
Oh, sounds great. I'd be happy to, Kelly. Thank you.
Thank you so much, then. Take care. Bye bye.
Cheers.
Thank you for tuning in to the Life of Being podcast. Let us know what is your one key takeaway from this episode. And if this conversation inspired you, share it with a friend who might find it helpful today. Until next time, take care of your health and take care of your being.